Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Cinema Explorers. I'm Chase.
I'm Kyle.
I'm Cheyenne.
Cheyenne, every time! We do this every time!
I blanked out for a second.
She was reading something. She's like,
I know what she's reading. Get back in the present, Cheyenne. Stop reading about historical figures.
No, I was reading about actual Hamilton this time.
He's still a historical figure!
No, the musical.
that's not actual Hamilton.
No, okay, I meant like what we're talking about
Because you
today.
just said that you were reading about actual Lafayette.
My bad. I'm sorry.
Oh my god.
You gotta keep at least the consistency of your terminology.
Yeah, what does actual
never.
mean, Cheyenne?
Never.
Literal? But literal would also be historical in this context.
But historical also means whatever the fuck it is. Hey everybody, how's it going?
Hello, welcome to another day of the week.
What was
There
that?
are weeks. It just feels like one day flows into another in an endless stream of repetitive sameness.
Kind of. I saw something somewhere that someone said, there was a lot of sums,
I was about to say the same thing.
that the Tiger King era of the quarantine seemed like years ago.
It really did.
And that was like towards the beginning, but it wasn't the very beginning, was
No,
it?
that was pretty early on. That was like the first couple weeks was Tiger King. We're a long way from that.
Yeah.
Now we're in the Hamilton era of quarantine. I mean, we are.
Yeah. Well, because
Okay.
it just came out, yeah. So
Yeah,
I was
exactly.
like, how are we? Yeah, duh. That's the point of this episode.
Has everyone lost their minds?
Yes.
Am I somehow the most sane person here today?
Well, I
Maybe.
mean, my mental strength has deteriorated since the stay-at-home order. So
I mean, my mental health is deteriorated. My mental strength is holding tight.
no, I cannot focus. I cannot think.
I think you just need some vitamin C, man.
I'm going day to day, just walking room to room, being like, "Why am I here?
I meant D. Vitamin D. Get some sunlight.
You want me to get some what?" Never mind.
Get some D, bro.
So, and we're not cursing this week.
Hey, just try me.
Out of-
If this movie can get one F-bomb, so can I. No.
Where was the F-bomb? Because we watched the whole thing and we didn't hear
I
a
was
single
looking
F
for
word.
it.
It's very much there. I can't replicate where, but I will tell you when we get to it.
Wait, no, I think you were like, oh, there it is, something like that.
That was my wife that you decided to.
Oh.
And then a very long, extended F word.
He never goes with the K.
Yeah, he does.
I don't
I
think
don't
so.
remember that.
I
He
remember
does,
that.
though. It's the one they kept out of the three.
Oh.
Yes. That's how it goes. That's not the point, though.
Yeah.
I will do my best not to swear. I'm so sorry about all the times you had to bleep me out.
Yeah. Okay. So we'll talk about Hamilton later on in the podcast because that's what this show's about. But
Will we? Because what do we have to talk about before him?
I mean, I do want to mention
Okay.
what we're talking about with the box office. Say the box office right now, because there are certain things that are open, which include drive-in movie theaters, which
I do want to go to.
Just went whoosh over my head. I'm like, what? Why is there a box office score coming in?
I do actually want to go to a drive-in theater, but I don't want to go alone.
There's one right next to your house. Is that open? Yeah.
I mean, oh crap! I just
Just place yourself. It's okay.
Nice.
That's bleep too.
Bleep.
God, make me bleep everything.
I'm sorry.
Give business name of the only thing that's there.
No, well, I mean that's not primarily a drive-in theater.
Well, I know, but it's
Only a
also
special thing.
But they've reopened it for the weekends. Last weekend they were playing. Well, I guess this weekend we're still on the weekend. They're playing Wizard of Oz each night, but like it's not like a full actual drive-in. It's just they will occasionally project movies up there.
Yeah, which is funny because it used to be an actual drive-in.
Yes, I used to go to it. I think that was the only place I think I ever went to an actual drive-in theater was at
the only one
Location X.
I've been to was in the City of Industry, I think.
Location
Look at you,
X.
Mr. Fancy Pants.
Oh,
Should
that's
just
not
say
fancy,
the name
but-
again.
I know.
No. But I brought that up because I saw an article on Screen Rant, just to give due. That Empire Strikes Back is at the top of the box office for the first time in like 20 years.
A Star Wars movie.
I mean, a lot of people would agree with you.
Yes, I know.
I would not, because number 1 has a 1 in its name. I'll leave it at that. And that's really the only thing.
Such an inconsistent movie.
Rogue One?
Yes! It is a really great third act and a really boring first 2 acts. Whatever. We're not here to talk about Rogue One.
Hey, episode 3 is a close second for best Star Wars movie.
Episode 3 is a strong contender for top 3 Star Wars movies, in my opinion.
Oh, okay. I thought you were going to say for not worst.
Well, it's easily not the worst.
Yeah, there's way worse.
And it's also easily the best prequel, and anyone who says otherwise is crazy, and I know one of these people. But, it's cool.
We should have an episode on Star Wars movies. Or
we should.
Yeah, Chase, maybe you should finish watching Clone Wars so we can finish doing the video games and then finish watching the movies.
Yes, for people that don't know, because, I mean, unless you listen to the Zimcast, you wouldn't know.
And you really haven't gotten that much in depth to it.
No, because we stopped after the second week. Because we had, Cheyenne and I had been doing a thing where we would watch the movies, Star Wars movies, we're going in order of numeric value, chronology. So we started with episode 1. We watched it, and then I have Lego Star Wars, the Ultimate collection or whatever, that has everything up to episode 6. So then we would go and play the entirety of Lego Star Wars episode 1, and then go on to watch episode 2, and then went back and played through episode 2, Lego Star Wars. And then we're going to do episode 3, but this was also the time where we were heavily watching The Clone Wars, which is an awesome series if you haven't watched it.
He hasn't finished yet.
Yeah, and I wanted to finish that because it leads directly into episode 3. And
isn't there also a Clone Wars Lego game?
There is. I'm not committed to that though. That's Lego Star Wars 3.
I was about to say, Kyle, don't make this take longer.
Yeah, Lego Star Wars 3 is the Clone Wars.
I've been waiting to get to the better movies, and we ended at number 2.
It is a noticeable jump up in quality after episode 2.
Yeah, and he won't finish Clone Wars, so we can.
We're all just spoil how it is for you.
No,
Palpatine is kidnapped, and they need to rescue him.
What?
The opening crawl of episode 3.
That's actually not how it ends, but it's neither here nor there.
I mean, he is kidnapped in one of the episodes of the Clone Wars, and I'm like, this is too early, but he gets kidnapped again.
It happens a couple times.
Yeah.
I'm actually curious how you're going to pull it off, because if you watch the Clone Wars, then you'll go too far ahead in the timeline. I'm just saying.
Yeah, that doesn't make sense.
It does though, because I'm just saying without
Clone Wars.
I mean, you have a general idea. The last arc of the Clone Wars happens concurrently with episode 3.
Yeah.
So and then you'll be too far ahead.
I guess.
What will you do? You'll be doomed.
And I still have to go back and play Star Wars Fallen Order, Jedi Fallen Order.
You're not going to do that, and we both know it.
I mean, I started it.
But you're not going to go back and play it.
But you're not going to finish it. He'll go back and play a couple hours, maybe.
No, the problem. No. Here's the problem. It's been too long. That game is tough. He will be bad at it.
Yeah.
And he will get frustrated, and then he will stop. He'll probably do. Where the fuck am I supposed to? Damn it! Where am I supposed to go? We never used to care about swearing. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Anyway. That's it for the movie news, basically. It's just the top of the box office is Empire Strikes Back.
There's nothing going on in movies.
Right.
Again, what a great time for us to launch a movie podcast.
Yeah. I mean, there's no news currently. But some trailers came out.
Did they?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think this first trailer that I wanted to talk about had maybe already shown, because I had heard about it before, but I had just seen it.
I think you didn't warn me about this so I could watch these trailers.
I don't know. You might have heard. The first one is An American Pickle.
Oh, okay, yeah.
The Seth Rogen ex Seth Rogen film.
Yes.
With two Seth Rogens. It is about a simple Jewish man named Herschel Greenbaum working in a pickle factory in Brooklyn. One day he falls into a vat of brine and stays there, perfectly preserved for 100 years. And then he comes back to life and he finds a descendant. And like they go through living in modern day New York and stuff.
It's quite silly.
Yeah. I mean, it's produced by same as what did they say? I think The Interview. And like those James Franco and Seth Rogen movies.
Yes.
No, Disaster Artist, sorry. And
yes.
one other one, I don't know. But yeah, so I mean that Seth Rogen, you're going to know what kind of humor it is. But also, it seemed a little not as like I don't know if I would describe his humor as slapstick, but it seemed like a little bit, like a tiny bit more serious.
Humor is what it is,
stoner humor,
100%.
Yeah, but it was a little more serious. Not serious at all. Like not on the scale. It's not like towards serious, but it's a little bit more towards serious than
the heavy serious drama American Pickle. Joining other heavy serious dramas like American Sniper and
oh god,
and American Ultra. I don't know.
Yes, an American Pickle. It's Pickle Rick from Rick and Morty.
Yep.
Anyway,
I think everyone either knew what you were referencing or didn't care.
This is also something little known franchise continuation called Halloween Kills.
Yes. The middle part of this new Halloween trilogy.
Oh, it's a trilogy?
Yeah.
There's
a third one coming after this. It really, killed all the drama of did they finally stop Michael Myers?
Yeah, they should have announced that it was a trilogy.
Yeah, going into the end of that movie, I'm like, I know they're trying real hard to stop him. I don't think it'll work. I don't think it'll stick this time, guys.
No, the other two Halloween movies are actually about Freddy Krueger and Jason Voorhees.
I love that. Jamie Lee Curtis just grabs her shotgun and goes to town on all the movie monsters. I would be so down.
I want to see that.
I'm telling you, that'd be great.
Yeah, what happened to the Dooku? The Dark Universe Cinematic Universe? Universal Movie Monsters?
Yeah, that was dead on arrival.
Yeah, you should have a flick. Have a flick where someone takes on all of them all at once.
Nope. That never happened because the Mummy did no goods.
No, actually, we were watching the original Mummy trilogy.
That's a fun film.
It was on TV. Like maybe
I like the first
last
two.
week. Yeah.
This is cursed. That's cursed. Everything's cursed.
Yeah, I mean the third one's not bad.
It's nowhere near as enjoyable as the first two.
I agree with that statement.
But it's not a terrible film.
Yeah.
It's not as bad as, say, Tom Cruise's Mummy.
Yeah, we did not see that out of principle.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a fair principle. I finally did end up seeing it. Look, it's not.
I didn't think
horrible.
It was super bad, and Super bad was a good movie. No, I didn't.
It's definitely not super bad.
No, I didn't think it was gonna be like totally bad. And I was into like I enjoy like Mission Impossible and those type of Tom Cruise movies because every Tom Cruise movie is like the same. But Cheyenne does not like Tom Cruise because of the Tom Cruise movies. And she was like, oh, he's gonna ruin like the feel of. It's just gonna be like super actiony Mummy instead of like.
Oh, it's super.
The first time I saw the trailer for that, I was like, "Oh, they made another Mission Impossible," and then it's like, "Oh, JK, it's the Mummy." I'm like, "No, I don't need Mission Impossible Mummy. I'm okay."
No, to be fair, the Brendan Fraser Mummy movies are pretty darn action packed.
No,
they're more adventure movies.
Yeah, I want an adventure movie. Not
they're
a Mission
adventure
Impossible movie.
comedy. Like they're super humorous.
Exactly,
and like,
that's what I liked. I like adventure comedy. Tom Cruise is not adventure comedy.
I will say the best part of The Mummy is Russell Crowe as Dr. Jekyll.
I'm sure
he steals the movie.
I'm sure that I was thinking of watching it because of him.
He's having a great time in the movie. But yeah, no, the movie isn't that great. And then it like totally sets up like, a sequel and all this world building and stuff, and it just didn't end up mattering.
Man.
It's almost like the best way to make a cinematic universe is to make a good movie and then be like, let's just slowly build from here.
Yeah.
Because exactly zero cinematic universes have successfully been built when you plan it as a cinematic universe from the word go.
Exactly. Like you need to make like a series of like not really related, not like non-related standalone movies and then incorporate them within the same universe. Like they're like tangentially connected, but like they don't have to be connected. And then you introduce that they are connected. And that's what people are like.
Yeah, it's like you watch Iron Man,
like Marvel.
and then you watch Edward Norton's Incredible Hulk, and then when Tony Stark shows up in that, you're like, "Whoa, that's so cool!"
Yeah,
like that sort of stuff. But it's not like, It also helped that movie Hulk came out a month after Iron Man came out. There were theaters at the same time. Yeah,
jeez, I had no idea.
Oh, I thought it was the other way.
I don't think I ever saw Edward Norton's Hulk though. Or at least I might have like once, probably when it came out.
My dad liked
close
that
to
one.
when it came out.
I do like that movie. It's just it feels so different than any other MCU movie because it's the only MCU movie not actually made by Marvel Studios. It's like a Universal movie or something. I can't remember who made it, but the fact is they didn't have the rights for Hulk. That's why they haven't done a standalone Hulk movie in the MCU. They don't have the film rights to him for his own exclusive movie.
Yeah,
it's so convoluted. All right. But I think we've, shot the stuff enough. I still made it rhyme and it still kind of worked.
Yeah. Speaking of rhyming,
let's talk Hamilton.
Alexander Hamilton. I didn't want to start singing that in case we got a copyright claim.
We got a copyright claim last week, man. At this point, who cares? We haven't monetized our videos yet.
Yeah. We've been holding up on that. But
probably shouldn't.
True.
Before we dip below 1,000 subs.
True. Hamilton. Initial impression. I love it.
Okay. Wow. What a bold.
Wow, controversial.
Hot take. No one will agree with my statement, but I'll put it out there anyway. I might get some slack for this.
I hate you.
Or flack, not flack. I mean, not slack, because slack would be the opposite of flack, basically.
Continue. You know what flack is?
Go ahead and, well, I know it's like what they shoot planes with.
Yeah. All right, Cheyenne, what's your opinion?
I liked it more than I thought I would, but I did still feel the length.
I didn't.
I felt it in the second half, not the first half.
Well, because when it went to intermission, you were like, that was only half the movie?
Yeah. I was like, oh, God, there's another.
Yeah, there's a lot that happens after the revolution's over.
It's so long.
I do like, however, that Kyle, in your like brief summary last week about Hamilton, you're like, oh, it's about like the founding fathers and the Revolutionary War and that kind of stuff. That's only the first half. It's entirely the first half is the Revolutionary War.
Well, no, I mentioned the Revolutionary War.
It's very much about the founding fathers.
It's the second half.
Yeah, I just said them out of order.
Yeah.
I don't want to spoil it.
Yeah, go ahead and give your impression, Kyle. I mean, I think we know how you.
Everyone knows my opinion.
Yeah, he already said his
Everyone, even people who've never seen this show before, knows my opinion. I really love Hamilton. Like I mentioned last week, I have seen it twice. I never saw it on Broadway, but I saw it when it came to the Los Angeles area and then the San Diego area because I took a trip.
And then your home area. Your living room, which I'm guessing.
Yeah, and then I watched it at home when it came here. I was one of those people listening to the soundtrack on repeat in like 2016-ish because I didn't listen to it in 2015. I wasn't that cool, but I listened to it in 2016. I was pretty cool.
I listened to it in 2017, so I'm less cool.
Yeah. It's just basically a sliding scale of coolness depending on when you finally.
To be fair, the only reason I did listen to it is because one of our managers at the time really liked it, and she would play it whenever like we were closing together.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't understand any of this, but it sounds good.
And then she and I would have long conversations about it. Yeah. So again, for somebody who doesn't know, I think I had made this exact same spiel last time. Hamilton is a musical written by Lin-Manuel, still can't say his name, Lin-Manuel Miranda, all about Alexander Hamilton, and basically uses his story to tell the story of like the birth, foundation, and early years of the United States of America. It's very good. Yeah. It manages to do this in a lot of fun, really interesting ways.
Yeah.
First of all, the casting is obviously it's very few white people in a cast all playing a bunch of white people.
Yes.
So, you know, it's a lot of fun because he basically said, you know, it's like, hey, we'll kind of take the birth of America and have it played by like representations of what America kind of is now. And it's cool. So it's like the cast is mostly like, you know, all over the place. A lot of African Americans, a lot of, you know, there's some Filipinos, they're all over the place, and they're having a grand old time with a very modern style of music. And to be fair, the genres for Hamilton are all over the place, but it primarily lands in like a hip hop sort of feel with where it's able to stretch out from there. But it's very damn cool. It basically takes this story of America that could be very dry and boring, and that most people would probably think of as very dry and boring, and it makes it really energetic and like powerful and modern feeling in a really cool way. So basically, Lin-Manuel Miranda is kind of talked about because he had bought just like a biography for Hamilton. From what I heard, he was like, he bought it at an airport because he was looking for something to read on a plane. And he's like, okay. And so he bought this biography about Hamilton, and he's reading through it. And like by the end, he's like, this is like the most like this man lived the most hip hop life, like kind of like on earth.
I will say, Alexander Hamilton, it's a pretty cool cat.
Yeah.
Okay.
God. So, you know, we go on this journey from Hamilton, basically from when he arrives in America until, hey, his death. Yeah. And doing so covers a little bit. I mean, obviously, it also technically starts a little bit before his arrival in America. But
yeah, it's like a
primarily
epilogue.
Basically, yeah. But, you know, it tells that story, and it uses that too, because Alexander Hamilton is so central in the formation of this country in so many ways.
Yeah, like surprisingly.
Way more than I thought.
Mm-hmm. He's kind of a super important figure, and it's kind of hilarious how right before this musical came out, it's easy to remember, they were thinking of changing who was going to be on the $10 bill because nobody cared who Alexander Hamilton was.
Yeah. That's
even though he created the banks.
Yeah, he created the centralized banking in America.
Yeah, and yeah, I mean, whether you agree or disagree with a lot of what he did was influential at like the early stages of our country. And I just love how it was like, I remember looking at that and I remember reading that because I knew enough about Hamilton, like even before this show, that I was like, that feels like a poor mistake. Take Jackson off the 20. That's the man who destroyed the banking system of America.
He's the man that freaking massacred thousands of indigenous people.
Yeah, why does he get to be on the 20? Just
right? And like literally no one hated banks more than him. Good times. One of the most legendary duelers of all time because he would wear really big jackets and sway all over the place so people had a hard time hitting him. What a hero!
I didn't know that.
It's great.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I really love this show. I think it is damn catchy. It's got great music. It's got great performances.
Very good music. Very great performances.
And it's just it sticks in your brain like nobody's business, man.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm a huge fan. Let's just say that. But again, that's not a shock. So
Jeez.
watch it. It's on Disney Plus. Most people have Disney Plus unless they live in countries where you can't get Disney Plus.
In which we're sorry, but you're not listening to this, so you're okay.
I'm sorry.
They can be.
They might be. We have some people out of the U.S. who listen to our stuff.
Sort of, yeah.
No, we've had people in the Philippines. Remember?
Yeah, but they have Disney Plus.
Do they?
I think they do now.
I don't know who does and doesn't have the Disney Plus. All I know is I have Disney Plus.
I don't know. So in preparation for this, I was looking up fun facts of for this.
For Hamilton or the Founding Fathers?
For the musical.
Mm-hmm.
There are more than 20,000 words packed into this show.
There are a few numbers that are very
So fast.
quickly spoken.
I'm almost
quickly
glad
rapped.
we watched it at home on a TV so
With
I
subtitles.
with subtitles, because I don't think I would have been able to keep up with some of the songs that are sung really fast.
Yeah.
Welcome to my life when I was listening to just the soundtrack going like,
What do they say?
It's like, wait,
Lafayette, what are you saying?
Yeah.
Especially Lafayette. But as Cheyenne mentioned while we were watching it, she made the point that like every word like means something, or is intentionally like shut up. Is intentionally like put there, right? In within the songs.
Well, no, I was saying like some words in certain songs are said in very specific ways. Like it, and then in that opening number, it changes with each character, I think, is what I was saying. I don't remember anymore. There was so many words being said.
There were so many words.
It's hard to keep up. They say so many things. No, but the attention to detail in just like every single thing is crazy, because I think it was specifically My Shot. Is the song called My Shot?
The third song?
The third
where
song? Yeah, there was very specific words that were said in like a way that was different. That was not just to fit the music aspect of it. It was like an emphasis, and I don't know. It's just really cool.
I do wish you had specifics so I could figure out exactly what you meant.
I do also wish you had specifics so I understood anything you said.
I don't know.
No,
I know the word away specifically stood out to me. Just like the way he would say away was different than like some of the other people, and it wasn't necessarily like that's just how he sings. Like it was an intentional, but that happens throughout the whole show.
Things I guess I've never noticed watching Hamilton.
I also did not notice that at all.
I think I only noticed that because when I was in drama and theater, my teacher,
yes, you two nerds.
my teacher was very big on that sort of detail. She was like, no, you're not saying the word correctly. You need to think of why your character is saying this word and then match
that does make
it.
sense as to why you would pick that up then.
Yeah. Like that was a big thing. Yes, Kyle.
I mean, I think the show does a remarkably good job of never feeling like, despite how tightly everything is woven in, and despite how, because I mean, like, yeah, there's this many words in a 2 hour and 40-minute long show, and it has a lot of ground to cover. Despite that, it never feels like they're sacrificing like the characterization or the narrative in terms of trying to get through a lot of story. And I mean, I think in regards to at least tied in with that, like you immediately have a very strong idea of who all of these characters are.
I think the characterization is top notch.
Yes.
Which is important because some of these characters have very small runtimes, but very big roles to play.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's what I was also saying with the character's role within the songs kind of changed the sound of the song while they're singing it.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I think if there is one thing that the show does do remarkably well, like not saying that it only does one thing remarkably well, but one of the things that excels at tremendously is, its characterization with the whole cast.
Yeah. because
even characters that are played by the same person can feel
no, definitely
dramatically different.
Yeah, and what we were talking about with the way it's said and sung by each individual character really shows like how each song means something different to each character. Like certain songs will have like an entirely different meaning to a different character.
Yeah.
Yep.
There's a scene I want to talk about, but if we're gonna go over it, I'll wait until we get to that section.
Yeah, no, we're definitely going to go over it. So, so this is the part where we just talk about the entire show
basically
in detail and length. So, if you don't want any spoilers, like we're going to dive into this.
Yes. Well, first before we do that,
Spoilers
if you had to give a rating,
musical. Sorry. Yeah, go for it. Do we have to do ratings?
No. But
like,
if you had to,
is that
that's
necessary?
what I said. If you had to,
like,
that's the
on your head right now, Cheyenne. What would you give this? I think she fears the internet.
No, I'm just saying because like everyone just agrees this is a really good musical. I don't know what. Why are you just staring at me?
because I asked you a question.
Oh, you wanted me to go first?
I said Cheyenne.
Oh, okay.
We'd lead with you. That's why we're waiting.
Okay, so I don't like musicals. Like at all. Especially musicals that sing all the way through. This has been the only one that I like. So I guess compared to everything else, 10 out of 10. I've never liked a musical that sings all the way through.
I feel the exact same way, and therefore I would give it the same rating.
This is why I was saying this doesn't feel necessary.
No, but I think it does feel necessary for people that don't like musicals.
I have to say,
I give it a 4.
Great. 4 out of 4, right, Kyle?
4 out of 4. 4 out of 4 stars. 4 out of 4 thumbs up. Boop, 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 boop. No, I mean, it's weird because, like, you know, yeah, obviously you guys can give it 10s out of 10s. I have a hard time giving this a 10 out of 10, honestly, but that's more because I know by personal experience, having seen the show live, how much is actually lost in translation by putting this just on a smaller screen. But that's not this movie's fault.
Yeah.
So it's like, I give this movie like the highest of recommendations and honor. So I guess 10 out of 10. Yeah, you should watch this film. But like, yeah, it's just, it's weird because like so much of the energy and the kinetic power behind the music and the show is lost by you not being surrounded by a bunch of people in a room absorbing that energy yourself.
Yeah, I can see that.
But this is about as close as you're going to get. It does make me wonder how well this movie would have done and how powerful watching this would have been if it was actually able to be released in theaters next year like their original plan was.
That's right.
Because that was the original plan.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
And I still think they probably will end up releasing it in theaters for like a limited run.
Yeah.
But I'm curious how well it would have done too. I feel like it would have done really well for them. Yeah. But this was probably more their justification. Like they needed something big on Disney Plus for the first time in a while.
Mm-hmm. Especially because so much is getting pushed back.
Yeah.
For Disney Plus. But I mean, yeah, I know I say 10 out of 10, and I feel like Cheyenne probably has the same reasoning too. Well, besides the fact that it's a musical that we really like, despite not liking musicals at all, or like musicals that sing all the way through. Yeah, I personally, I don't really see any room for improvement. Like, there's always room for improvement in like everything, but like basically when I watch it, I'm like, this is basically perfect. Like, this is amazing. In the delivery and the writing and like the everything is just so top notch that I can't think of a way that it would be better. So that's like perfect for me.
Oh, I can think of one.
Oh, but is it a spoiler that we'll get into later?
No, if we were watching this live, I would want subtitles. Only during the really fast parts. That would.
To be fair,
yeah.
When I saw it, there were.
Oh, okay, great.
There was open captioning on the sides.
Great. That's all I need.
My chest hurts out loud.
I just can't, like I said, I can't imagine trying to watch this live and not understanding because what they're saying is really important. And it's like singing 144 words basically a minute. Like, that's a lot to try to keep up with if I have to listen to you and be amazed. And like, I just can't.
Yeah, you're getting multiple words a second there.
Yeah, it's like
multiple.
It's like national debate level amount of.
Oh my god.
Speaking.
freaking hated debate because of that. Like, I can't talk fast. I'm out.
I know.
You just got to talk strong.
It's like I can't talk fast, nor can I comprehend what you're saying fast enough to be able to do this.
Yeah.
Write down notes for counter arguments.
Yes.
Okay. So yeah, pretty unanimous. I'd say all of us say go watch this if you can.
Especially
Even if you don't.
Disney Plus.
Yeah, even if you don't like musicals, if there is any musical that's going to convince an average person who doesn't like musicals to like give it a shot, it's this.
Yeah, it's this one. Or, well, actually, there's also the Green Day musical, but that's a different topic.
It's a whole different beast.
No, because I just thought of that because I was telling Chase, like, some of this is music I would listen to on the radio, just like casually through my day.
People have.
Yeah.
Yes, commonly.
Now I get it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do get it. But at this point, if you want to go check it out for yourself because you have not, we recommend watch it firsthand. Go get a Disney Plus subscription if you don't have one already, or bum one off a friend.
We're not sponsored by Disney, by the way.
I mean, that's the only place you can watch it, which is why I say that.
Yeah, like go get Disney Plus available from all of our friends at Disney. Coming to you. We are going to put our masks on, be in uniform, look all creepy as if.
No, thank you. But yeah, go ahead and check it out because for the rest of the podcast, we're going to be breaking it down, and it's good to watch it and get that. And while Cheyenne was actually, while we were watching it, Cheyenne wanted to like look up stuff about like Aaron Burr or these people. I'm like, no, like just let them tell the story because like if you already know like more about it might not have the same delivery because like I know like general history and like what happens, but like once you they're characters in this sense, and like let them tell their story,
And then after it's done, you can look up all the fun details.
And then I'll forget everything I wanted to look up.
Yeah.
So,
but yeah, go ahead.
So you gotta write notes.
We're about to get into some spoiler territory.
All right.
Spoiler for a 5-year-old musical.
You've been warned.
But to be fair,
And
a 5-year-old
history.
And history. That's the real part
Spoiler
here.
for history. That's why when she was looking up, I'm like, don't spoil history for me.
Oh yeah, I was like, but this already happened. He's like, don't spoil history for me. I'm like, what?
It actually reminds me of one person giving their review of this that I read really quick. Is it's like they're like, I was crying during this, and then I stopped and I'm like, why am I crying about stuff that happened over 200 years ago?
I cried too.
There are moments that are really hard to get through without feeling some feels. Yeah. So, I mean, the show opens with Alexander Hamilton. It's opening number.
Yes.
We are introduced to our narrator, Aaron Burr,
Sir.
which is a decision. That's the second song, sir. Which I think is actually it's one of the decisions I like most about this show is deciding to make Burr the narrator. It gives you a lot of perspective on him, which one is important because he doesn't actively play a huge role in the story until quite a bit later. But watching his development is important, so it kind of keeps him in the action and in focus the entire time.
Yeah.
But also because it tries to add a lot more depth to what is very easy to view on paper as just like a black and white, not good person.
Yeah.
I don't think you've probably heard of Aaron Burr, and I guarantee it has not been in a positive light. If you've heard of him at all. But yeah, I mean, so this opening number, I'm not going to go into a lot of depth. Basically, it's just entirely about getting you up to speed on Alexander Hamilton. He has lived a terrible life, but he has basically used his genius and his abilities to write with words and stuff to get himself out of poverty and to New York City, where he is hoping to start a brand new life.
Because he's an immigrant.
Because he is an immigrant, and that is important. But yeah, he's a bastard orphan, son of a whore, and a Scotsman.
Yeah.
So he does, and also this number is fun because it basically is just like, I don't care if you don't know what happens. Right at the end of this, I'm going to spoil a lot of fates of characters.
Yeah.
Just in case you don't know, Aaron Burr kills Alexander Hamilton.
Oh my gosh.
It's probably, to be fair, the only thing you would know about Aaron Burr if you knew anything about him.
Yeah, or that he was the second vice president.
I didn't know that. I didn't know. I forgot both of those things.
He's not the second vice president. He's the third.
Third. Yes, you're right.
Yeah.
There were 2 terms for Washington.
But no, you're forgetting John Adams, who Jefferson was his vice president.
Wait, what?
Yeah, Aaron Burr was the.
Oh, yeah. Third president.
Jefferson's vice president.
Third president's first.
Third president's
First vice
first
president.
term.
He did not serve long
No.
before fleeing after murdering a man.
Also love that scene in the musical.
Yeah, toward the end. Yeah. You'll get to it.
He's like, I'm president. I could change that.
Yeah.
Oh, that's different.
You know why? Because I'm the president.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but we will get there. That's a ways off. Featuring the best character who we won't meet for another hour and a half. So he eventually arrives in New York, and really the story opens with him meeting Aaron Burr. He approaches Burr because he has heard that Burr was basically got a very elevated course of study and graduated college in 2 years.
Crazy.
And what?
Said crazy.
Yeah. And Alex is like, how did you do that? I also want to do that. ASAP, please.
Yeah.
Like, I don't have time for all this stupid schooling stuff. I just want to get my degree and get out.
Yeah, that leads us right into the second song, Aaron Burr.
Yes. So that kind of establishes the core difference between our protagonist and our durotagonist. Where Alexander will not stop talking, will not stop acting, will not stop moving forward, while Aaron Burr is very much like, I'm just going to shut up, I'm just going to watch what happens, and I'm going to wait for the perfect opportunity. Because, I don't want to commit. It's talk less, smile more. Don't let them know what you're against or what you're for. So, it very much establishes both of these characters immediately. You know exactly who they are. And that does not change. And it is very important and central to things.
Yeah.
But they do start a friendship. A bit of a tumultuous one, but a friendship nonetheless. And they, go out for drinks, where we meet other core members of our cast in our third song, My Shot. But first, let's talk about these incredibly important historical figures. So obviously we have the Marquis de Lafayette, we have John Laurens, and we have Hercules Mulligan, which is always fun to when you watch the show and then you realize that was a short, scrappy little Irish guy. But we're basically introduced to what will become Hamilton's core group of friends. These guys are itching for revolution after what's been going on and what the British have been doing. Each of them is desperate to fight. And Hamilton's like, I'm sorry, Burr. These guys are great. Bye. This is all where I'm at. And he starts talking. He starts sharing his ideas. And they're like, oh, this kid is a ticket to success. We got to get him in front of people so that he can make a difference.
Yes.
And I do love My Shot. It's iconic. It's more establishing of Hamilton, his drive, his passion. Like, he is desperate for this revolution because it'll allow him to prove himself and climb way beyond what he'll be able to do just in a conventional sense. And so I've never seen a person want a revolution more than Alexander Hamilton in the beginning of the show. But I mean, he doesn't really have anything. He's poor as heck. He has no family. And so, yeah, I mean, it makes sense. He's looking for an opportunity to climb, and that makes quite the chance. Yeah, so that also segues right into the fourth song, Story of Tonight, which is all of them kind of reflecting on this meeting between us, what we're doing here is going to be important. And this is going to be a story. And, tomorrow will be more of us. It's a great number. It establishes the friendship between these guys, which is very important. Obviously, the Marquis de Lafayette is an incredibly important historical figure.
Yes.
John Laurens is, just Hamilton's bestest friend. They loved each other a whole lot. A whole lot. Thus establishing, they didn't need to get into the show, but there are reasons to believe it was a bit more than just good friends. And then Hercules Mulligan has some very important role to play in the Battle of Yorktown, which we'll get into quite a bit later. But Quick cut over now. We meet the Schuyler sisters. Totally unimportant characters that will never matter.
Yeah.
So, so we meet Angelica, Eliza, and Peggy.
And Peggy.
And Peggy. The Schuyler sisters. So they are 3 daughters of Philip Schuyler, who's an incredibly like powerful and influential figure in the New York area. And if you don't know history, you would obviously, after the song, believe Angelica is the more important of these 3 characters because this is her song. But, it very quickly does establish the differences between all 3 sisters. Angelica, very driven, very interested in intellectual thought, very passionate about the world around her. Eliza, a little bit more so, but she's a bit more held back. She's a bit more refrained. She's a bit more like just, contemplative and quiet about it. And then Peggy just does not want to be there. And this is also her biggest role in the entire show.
After that, I was like, is she still around?
She is.
Yeah, she plays...
And to be fair, the actress comes back to play a bigger, much more important role later. But Peggy's also there, which is why the internet and the world has latched onto Peggy as being like, there are so many people that are just like in love with Peggy based on her incredibly limited screen time and utter unimportance in the plot. Because that's just what people do.
Yeah.
You might be truly shocked at how many fans of Peggy there are.
I'm sure.
Yeah, so we get a lot of character work establishing these characters because it needed to happen. And Aaron Burr kind of interacts with them a little bit more. You kind of get a little bit more information about him. But this segues right into Farmer Refuted, if I remember is the name of the song, where we have Daniel Seabury, who like goes up on the box and he's like talking about like my 3 thoughts about the Continental Congress.
Yes.
And he's like, yo, guys, like England is the way to be. Y'all are being fooled. Like they're going to get us all killed. Are you crazy? And Hamilton's like, okay, I'm not letting this slide. And then he just totally destroys this guy in a very fun and entertaining number where you kind of get, obviously Hamilton, very quick-witted, very clever, really didn't need to do this and make a total fool of this guy. But, just more, a lot of this is doing a great job of, it's all character establishment. And while also slowly laying the seeds for the plot to really happen. We really have 2 more incredibly important characters for the plot to be introduced in the next 2 songs. This segues directly into a message from King George III himself in You'll Be Back, which, what an inspired and brilliant choice.
You'll be back.
To have King George III basically just be a vindictive, manipulative, evil ex-boyfriend.
I know.
Yeah.
I loved it so much.
I will kill your friend to remind you of my love. Jonathan Groff just owns this freaking role. And he is so entertaining in really what is a very small role. He has 3 small songs and he shows up like a little bit in another song.
Yeah, no, it's like real good in like placed comedic relief.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, no, he's easily one of the funniest. He's easily one of the funniest characters in the show. And he's great. And I do like the longer the show goes on and the more of his appearances, the more like flamboyant and ridiculous he gets. Where like really in this, it's just like the da 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 da. It's just you're just like all about this guy, and just you're like, okay, cool, we've met our villain, cool, awesome. And next up, Right Hand Man, where we meet George Washington. I really love George Washington in this show. Christopher Jackson, I believe, plays him, and he just does phenomenally. Man, that man has the voice of an angel.
Every number he had, I was just like, dang, that guy's got some pipes. And she's like, well, they all do. I'm like, yeah, but that guy has some pipes.
Real pipes. But I mean, really, like we are, 8 or 9 numbers into the show, and this is really when the plot starts. Like, officially.
Yeah.
It's like, the revolution is on, George Washington needs help, because this is going badly. Which is historically very true.
Yes.
There are a lot of fun, like, things in history to like look at about Washington, where it's like there's a strong argument that Washington was picked as the leader of the Continental Army strictly based on the fact that he was the only person in the room who's like, I got guys. And they're like, you! And he's like, okay. And very quickly realized he was in way over his head, but, you know, kept fighting anyway. And kind of became this legend because, yeah, George Washington, yeah, he fought in like the French Indian War and stuff. Yeah. He did not have a great track record there. He kind of alludes later, like he lost his whole, like a huge chunk of his battalion. Like he just suffered loss after loss. He got better. He learned things, obviously. But yeah, like he does not have the kind of credentials that you're like, this is the man who we're putting all of our hope behind. This is very clearly the example of a person who rose to the challenge in front of him.
Yeah.
Versus being somebody who was like already ready for the shit he was about to walk into.
Yeah, but then like always along the way was just like, I don't want more responsibility. Stop giving me more responsibility.
To be fair, incredibly important in history.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, like, where would we be if he was a power-hungry man?
We'd have a king.
Yeah. Well, we would have a king.
We have someone who thinks he's a king.
Okay, let's just not touch this right now, or we're reviewing a movie. That's of a play. So we're introduced to him. We're introduced to like the dire straits he's in. He's leading a bunch of people that have no idea what the hell they're doing. He can't get them to focus. He's losing battle after battle, has to constantly keep running away just to like, it's going atrociously. And he's like, I need actual help from someone who's actually competent, please.
Yes, and who would lend his hand for aid? None other than Aaron Burr.
So we cut to Aaron Burr, sir, once again. He's like, hey, you know, I know you need help. I gotta say, I'm really impressed by how you keep, you know, firing on them from really far away. And doing all this stuff. And you can just watch Washington's face like, dude,
get out.
Come on. Get out of my tent. But he specifically calls for Hamilton, who shows up. It got the great line, hit Burr. Don't let close the door on your way out.
Yeah.
It's like, ouch. It's not technically rude, but it's a slap in the face.
Yeah.
One of many times Burr is slapped in the face over the course of the story. But yeah, so we find out that Hamilton is basically all of like the generals and all the major officials keep trying to hire Hamilton to join their staffs, to like work as their secretaries and stuff. And he's like, I don't want that. All I want in life is to lead men into battle so that I will be a hero and that everyone will know my name. And Washington's like, look, I get it. I feel you. I was young and dumb once too. How about instead you do something actually important that won't get you killed? And he does eventually manage to convince Hamilton to basically be a secretary. And Hamilton uses his tenacity and amazing writing skills to just constantly berate Congress for help, which is what he did. Yeah. He just annoyed them so much that to make him stop bothering them, they got shit done. Even if they disagreed, they'd be like, fine. Oh my God, here, we'll figure it out later. Just take these horses and troops, and here's food. Just shut up. And he's like, nailed it. Could you imagine being so annoying that you just make an entire like forming country do what you want so that you'll shut up? That is an art. So with all the war going on and stuff, obviously now it's time for romance. So, you know, Aaron Burr, Hamilton, they don't really get along. They're very different. What do they have in common? They're reliable with the ladies. So there is the Winter's Ball that they go to. It's a short little interlude song where, you know, a lot of our main dudes are going to meet the Schuyler sisters, who are going to be the big token attraction at this event. Because, I mean, let's be honest, Hamilton knows that, like, if he can marry one of these sisters, he will inherit a lot of money and power, and that is very important to him. He doesn't really care which one. And so, yeah, and this is when we finally really get to know Eliza when she has her her first big song, "Helpless," which I just love. This song. It's very it's very fun and like charming. But yeah, it's basically like Eliza lays eyes on Hamilton. She's like, "I love this man.
I'm in love.
And I am so in love with him. Dibs." Angelica's like, "You call dibs? Fudge." And so she goes over, Angelica goes over, introduces Hamilton to Eliza, and a whirlwind romance happens where like within a couple months they're married. But yeah, essentially it's like he's charming as hell. She's a Schuyler sister. He's like, deal, let's do this. Because like if you listen to the lyrics and stuff here, like doesn't necessarily paint Hamilton in the best light. It's more he's like, it's very clear he's being charming and stuff, but he's just kind of saying lines and doing stuff. And man, his relationship with Eliza is a very complicated thing, kind of until the end.
Yeah.
So he does not deserve her. But yeah, so he basically asks for her hand. He gets it. They get married literally over the course of one song. They meet.
Oh yeah.
And they're married. You're like, okay, fair enough. We are moving along. We cut to our next song, "Satisfied," a definite fan favorite song. To where Angelica is giving her toast at their wedding. And we do a flashback. Flashbacks are always an interesting thing in a musical. Especially when
interestingly done.
Rewind. Where you just watch time go back, it pans back to the beginning of that party, and you realize Eliza's not the only Schuyler sister who fell in love with Hamilton. This is complicated. And it gets even more complicated and fun when you realize she's probably a better match for him. They have a lot of the same ideas. They're both very witty. They're both like quick and clever, but arguably Angelica is too clever for her own good.
Yeah.
Because she sizes him up immediately in that conversation and realizes like, this guy is only here because I'm a Schuyler sister. Like, he needs the money. He's penniless. Like, that is clearly why he's here. And as the oldest like daughter, and I have no brothers, like it's my obligation to kind of marry rich and like continue my family's legacy.
Yeah.
I can't afford to marry like this penniless guy just because like he catches my attention. So she's like, I got it. I will give him to my sister because boom, she's an awesome person. Hopefully he'll make her happy. And she'll make him happy. And I'll get to keep him around. This is perfect. I'm so smart. And you just get this like really powerful and emotional scene where like you just rewatch a lot of these events from her perspective and you're like, ouch.
Ow.
This is painful to watch. And she has her nice little toast, or it's like, it just casts it all in a whole new meaning. It's like, you'll never be satisfied. And you're like, yeah, no, I get you. And then we get a quick little The Story of Tonight reprise, where it's like, raise a glass to freedom, something that you'll never see again, no matter what she tells you. I'm like, clever, fun, tie back. But that segues into a quick conversation with Burr, where the guys are kind of like teasing Burr. It's like, hey, I know you got a lady. And everyone's like, whoa, you got a chick? That's awesome. Why didn't you bring her? And he's like, wow, that would have been a really bad idea. She's married to a British officer. And he's like, oh, that's no bueno, bro.
No bueno.
He's like, but look, but Hamilton gives him, he's like, if you love her, go get her. Like, why are you just sitting around waiting? Like, if it matters to you, go. And then we get to what is actually my favorite song in the show for me. It's a popular song, but I don't think it's most people's favorite. But wait for it, which is it's Burr's first real big number, where it kind of gives a lot of his backstory, his relationship with his family, how basically everyone that he loved has also died. But it gives a lot of point to his perspective on why he is just waiting and observing and biding his time for what's going on. But I just love this number. I think it's really powerful. I love the music. I just love like this whole perspective, and it's just and it really like hones in towards the end of like him just watching as like Hamilton is just doing all of these outrageous things, and he basically keeps falling up into success.
Yeah.
In fact, he pisses people off, and he doesn't think about anything that he's doing. He's just like stumbling into victory after victory, and Burr is just, he doesn't get it, but he's like, but I will watch, and I will observe, and I will learn from this however I can. Hopefully, like, this works out for me. Yeah. So then, I'm trying to remember the next song. Is it Stay Alive? I think it might be Stay Alive. But basically, it's just, it jumps back into the war. The war's still going terribly. Hamilton keeps trying to fight for a promotion up to actually fighting.
Yeah.
And Washington's like, no, what are you talking about? I need you. Is where we find out he promotes Charles Lee, who's just awful. He craps the bed at the Battle of Monmouth.
Yes.
But basically just not being able, he's not able to like hold his ground. Things go terribly. He basically loses in that battle by like not following Washington's orders. He is relieved of his duty. It's given to Lafayette. And after that happens, Lee basically goes on a slander, campaign against Washington, basically being like, this guy sucks. He's going to get us all killed. You don't get it. And Hamilton does not take that lying down, but Washington's like, history will prove him wrong. Just let him say whatever he wants. We don't have time to worry about that. Focus. And so Hamilton's like, I can't disobey direct order. So John Lawrence is like, I'll duel him. He's like, this is brilliant. You are so smart. What a loophole. I didn't think about that. Will have no negative consequences to me. I'll just be your second and I'll be at that duel anyway. And so Lawrence and Lee basically agree to a duel. We get the 10 duel commandments, which is a very fun little number.
Yeah, that's good.
Which kind of like sets up it's one of the more obvious uses of the turntable stage to great effect that I really like. They do it so well throughout the course of the show, but so it kind of establishes the rules of a duel, because this is not the last duel we will see in this show. It is the last one that goes well. So, like, it's just a fun kind of like lesson, because you need to know how duels are kind of set up, the rules that they're supposed to follow. They fire. Lawrence hits Lee in the side, does not kill him. Washington, when he finds out, is furious. Is not okay with what happened. And basically pulls Hamilton into his tent to be like, what are you doing? What are you doing? Hamilton at this point is so boiled over with anger, he starts yelling at George Washington. And Washington's like, you're done, kid. Go home. Hamilton's like, wait, what? You need me. He's like, get out of here. I'm done. And so he sends Hamilton back home.
Yep. You
find out part of the reason he did that is because Eliza did send a letter explaining that she is pregnant. And so there's a baby on the way.
Yeah.
And, we have this. That would be enough, I think, is like her number, which obviously is in direct contrast to satisfied. Like, he will never be satisfied. And she's like, that would be enough. Like, just stay with me. We raise our child. Like, what's so bad about this life? Like, everything's good here. Just stay. That's all I'm asking of you. And, that's totally all he needs in life.
Yeah.
So
we
we
raise a child that has a brilliant and bright future.
Yep. So we jump back to the war. It's actually starting to go well. Oh, poor Hamilton. He leaves and things start improving.
Yeah.
But turns out Lafayette, great general. Who knew? Davy Diggs gets to show off his rapping abilities by speaking far faster than any human being could possibly comprehend.
That was the one I needed the subtitles.
I knew it was when you said you needed subtitles. I'm like, it's Lafayette.
I thought the Angelica one, because she sings really fast too at one point. I thought I needed subtitles for that, but I had no idea.
You have no idea how many times I listened to the song back to back to back to back to back to really pick up on the line.
What is he saying?
I get the general gist, but there's a lot in the middle here that I am missing. But yeah, he basically is like, Washington let's be honest. The war is coming to a close. Things are working out in our favor. We need Hamilton back. And Washington's like, I know. And so he sends for Hamilton back. He's like, look, if you come back, you will have your own battalion. And Hamilton's like, I'm out. It's like, bye, pregnant wife. Let's go. This is all I wanted in life. And she's like,
go to Yorktown.
What did I just sing to you, man? But yeah, so that's Guns and Ships. When he arrives, we have History Has Its Eyes on You. I love this song. Mm-hmm. It's a very powerful little message. But yeah, it's basically Washington saying, like, look, when I was young, I was just like you. I made all the mistakes in the world. But like, we are sitting at like an important precipice of history. And so it's like, history has its eyes on you. You can't afford to fail. Mm-hmm. Like, these are the moments that define us. And so he sends Hamilton off. And we get Yorktown, which is a great number. Also contains one of the most famous lines in the show. The immigrants, we get the job done. Yeah. Huge applause. But yeah, it's basically a very nice interpretive dance rendition of the Battle of Yorktown, with them managing to secure victory.
Yeah, and because Hercules, I was gonna say Hercule Poirot.
Yeah, Hercule Poirot was there to solve the mystery of the British occupation. So obviously, well, there are a couple important factors. So Lawrence, managed to gather up some like former slaves and stuff to help fight. Obviously, Lafayette was key in them securing help from the French.
Very key. And
then Hercules Mulligan, who mentions really offhand earlier on in the show that he left the rebellion to go back to work sewing pants.
Yeah.
You're like, that was a depressing turn for this character.
Yeah, I was like,
not true. So he has basically been spying on the British in Yorktown as a tailor. He knew all of their plans. He knew all of their movements. And he was basically able to to smuggle out all of the information that the Continental Army needed to basically just crush the British in the Battle of Yorktown with the help of the French Navy. And it is a total victory. And basically, it finalized the point that America had been pushing towards, which is like, we can't actually beat the British in a war, but all we have to do is make this war so annoying to the British that it's not worth it for them. Because they have to be sending these ships like months-long journeys to send troops out here. Like, it's costing them so much money. There's other problems going on back in Europe. It's like, we just have to make this so frustrating and annoying and costly. They're like, fine, you win, we leave. And that's basically what happens. And so the British, they surrender and they leave, and we won. Awesome moment.
End of first act.
No, not the end of the first act at all. There are 3 more songs. Wait, no, there are 4 more songs.
Oh, God.
There's the next King George number.
Yes.
Where he kind of reflects on, like, my own country told me to stop fighting this war. This is ridiculous. What the heck are you going to do now? Like, leading is very hard. You don't know what you're getting into, you fools. You'll come back crawling to me when you realize how difficult this is. I'll see you soon. And then we get Dear Theodosia, which is basically Burr and then Hamilton reflecting on how now that they have this country and they have their children, because Burr did marry Theodosia and has a daughter with her that they also named Theodosia.
Yep.
I mean, it's a really cool name, but like, I don't know. Come on, that seems confusing.
Well, I mean, to be fair, one of Alexander's kids is also named Alexander.
I know, but he had like 7 kids. Like, you're running out of names at that point.
Oh, one of the kids is named Eliza.
Yeah.
It's how it goes. Okay. If he'd had a son, it clearly would have named Aaron. I get it, but no. They were bad at names back then. It's how it goes. But yeah, so they have this really great number where it's like, now, like, it shows that the priorities are shifting to where it's like, now this isn't just about like what's best for me. It's about like literally we have a responsibility to build a nation for our children and like the next generation in the future and stuff. It's very like sweet song stuff. I really like it. And it's made real ominous towards the end there when you see Eliza standing in the background with a letter in her hand.
Yeah.
You're like, well, that can't be good. It's not, because this is one of history's cruel jokes. So basically, yeah, Hamilton's expecting a letter from Lawrence, and it's his dad instead, because when Lawrence was traveling back home with his troops, they were attacked by British after the surrender and after the war was over, and he was killed. It's really messed up. And it should not have happened, but it did anyway. You'd be shocked at the amount of time people are killed after wars are officially over. But, you know, fun times. It was just retreating British forces. There are conflicting reports in history about who actually like started it. But regardless, Lawrence is killed in this tragic confrontation that really should never have happened to begin with. And it just pushes Hamilton further into his work. So, yeah. Now we go into Nonstop, which is the actual closing song for Act 1, which just does a lot of frickin' work. So it basically establishes like Hamilton and Burr, they became lawyers, they were working in the city. I mean, it jumps through a lot of time. It kind of shows like the foundation of the government. It talks about Hamilton being invited to the Continental Congress, where he just goes a little crazy historically. Most people had no idea who the heck this kid really was. Just some upstart. He literally, so many people went to the Continental Congress with like loose ideas and changes they wanted to make to the base idea of the Constitution. And he literally just comes in with this entire form of government that is completely different to everything they're doing. Like he proposes having a king, and he proposes like all these other things. And they're like, what are you talking about? But in his defense, historically, once his ideas were shot down and he actually saw the Constitution get drafted and brought together, he did become one of its strongest supporters, as we learn, because, you know, he sort of went a little crazy in defending it and helping to get it passed. But, you know, he used his greatest ability, which is his ability to write. Partnered up with a couple people, one of whom would become one of his biggest enemies in the future, and wrote a whole bunch of essays, all
Federalist Papers,
yeah, all about why this is a great idea. And it should be fair, it worked, because the average person didn't know much about the Constitution, but their essays got into the hands of a lot of people, and it really helped like sway a lot of people into the idea of the Constitution.
He wrote
51. Yeah.
I know, it's a lot of writing. In what, 6 months?
Something like that, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, what a whack job. I can barely write a script. But because you got to bear in mind, like, the show skips past this, but like, we've already tried having a government once and it did not work great. But the Articles of Confederation, like, like that was a bit of a disaster. And so everyone's real trepidatious about trying this again. But obviously the Constitution has some staying power. We still are under it today.
Yeah.
We've made some changes to it, admittedly. But I mean, he was one of its strongest supporters, and he did have a huge role in getting it passed and then ratified. But yeah, so we move on from there, and basically Washington is chosen basically unanimously to be president.
And he's like, oh crap.
Yeah, historically, like, he basically ran unopposed, because they're like, Washington, you're going to be our president, right? It's obviously you. And he's like, I guess, who else wants to run? And everyone's like, not me.
It's like, anyone at all, please.
Literally anybody else want this job? They're like, nah, it's clearly you, bro.
It's like, he's like, you got this, man.
Okay, I guess I have been literally chosen by an entire country to lead it. How can I say no to that? But yeah, so he is chosen as president. He approaches Hamilton. He's like, Hamilton, look, I know you got a lot going on. If you would please, and Hamilton's like, I will gladly help you.
State or
what
treasury?
Do you want me to
State or treasury?
Yeah. He's like, treasury, let's go. Eliza, not pleased that Hamilton is going to be traveling to, basically become. Yeah. Well, yeah, it would be New York at this point. Yeah, and just doing all this, and he's like, I am not throwing away this is everything I've been working towards. Like, this is a huge responsibility. This is my whole dream and point. Like,
he's not going to miss a shot.
I am not throwing this away for anything, including you and my son. Goodbye, wench.
Be gone.
And yeah, and so he joins Washington, and we end Act 1. Yeah.
Yeah. And then enter someone who hasn't been here the whole show. Secretary of State.
Thomas Jefferson.
Oh boy. What a character.
Oh boy. So yeah. Basically Daveed Diggs, who played Lafayette, assumes the role of Thomas Jefferson and is just a bundle of energy.
Looks like Prince, low-key.
Yeah, no, I mean, he 100% brings all of the Prince vibes to this role. And yeah, he's very electric in this performance. He basically demands all of your attention when he's on stage.
Yeah.
And he makes a great antagonist for the second half of the show, really, which is basically the role he plays for most of it.
Mm-hmm.
Because he is chosen to be the reason he hasn't been in the show is because he was off as the ambassador to France, making very important deals and having an instrumental part in the formation of the government, of everything. But yeah, he was busy. That's why he didn't fight in the war. But he comes back and he's immediately chosen to be the Secretary of State. He's like, okay, you got it. Let's do this.
It's like, oh, we won?
Oh, okay, cool. Oh, I have a new job. Let's do it. I do love, too, how the show can't resist throwing in a quick reference to Sally, one of his slaves.
Yeah.
Who he infamously had, children with.
Well, I wonder why there's so many Jeffersons in the United States now.
You're so funny.
What was the statistics on your likelihood of having
of Thomas Jefferson?
Thomas Jefferson.
Very high.
Very high.
Yes.
One of the few people you have a higher chance of being descended from was Attila the Hun or whatever.
Oof, yeah. Yes. That's why so many African Americans with their last name Jefferson.
Not the actual reason, but
it's a reason.
So yeah, but he goes back and we have our first cabinet rap battle. I love these. So the issue on the table for this first number is essentially basically the National Bank. And yeah, it's basically a counteraction to Hamilton's plan to basically his thought is we will make a centralized bank, we will assume the debt of all of the states, and we will go into debt to build credit. And he's like, the more debt, the better. Yeah. Which was a very controversial opinion.
Yes, this is one of the things that when Thomas Jefferson saw, he's like, Democratic Republicanism.
Yeah.
Two-party system.
Basically. Yep. I mean, these two guys basically single-handedly created the two-party system we'll have because of their fierce rivalry.
Yes, the Federalists and the Democratic Republicans.
Yep. But, Jefferson goes, he's like, look, after everything that's happened, no, that's a terrible idea. Basically, the North is in debt. All of us in the South are doing great. Basically, you just want to do this so, we have to pay for all of your mistakes. And Hamilton's like, no. So, first of all, that's not really what this is about. There are reasons for this. But also, the South isn't in debt is because you have slave labor. So don't talk to me about ethics, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's like, fun fact, yeah. I mean, historically, Hamilton was very against slavery. You know, good job, Hamilton.
Yeah, which is why he was so close to Lawrence, right?
Yep. Yeah, Lawrence historically a huge anti-slavery,
huge abolitionist.
Yep. But yeah, but Washington does end up siding with Hamilton. But it doesn't matter.
Watch where you're talking about Virginia, man. That's where I'm from.
Yeah, exactly. These Virginians. I'm a Virginian. So, oh yeah, man. He's like, look, I get where you're coming from, but none of that matters if you can't convince Congress to follow this plan. And Jefferson's like, dude, you're not going to get the votes. Like, most of the people here do not agree with you. And so Hamilton's like, how the heck am I going to get the votes? And Washington's like, that's your job to figure out, man. And like, that's your job. Solve the problem. He's like, well, what if I don't? Like, then they'll probably want you fired. So, the stakes are a bit high, let's just say. But because of that, he is under intense pressure and he is constantly trying to work, which leads into Eliza's number, Take a Break, where we're officially introduced to Philip Hamilton. Still played by a damn adult.
Yes. Went from,
9-year-old boy.
Yeah. From Lawrence to his son.
Anthony Ramos, like I love the little energy he brings, and like when he runs off stage, we're like, but it's like I know there's no real better way to do this, but it is silly.
Yeah, he's a 9-year-old child.
He's a 9-year-old child rapping, nothing like the scene of Eliza like beatboxing in the background.
So funny. It's great.
But it really just kind of like, bringing you into this family and caring about them. Philip, a character that does not have a lot of screen time, but it's important you care about him. So, but
good actor to do that then.
Yes. But basically, like, Hamilton's like, look, I get it. I know, like, I'm missing all this stuff, but if I don't get this plan through Congress, it's done. It's over. Like, everything I'm working towards, they're going to destroy this country with their stupidness.
Those stupid.
Because I'm obviously the only person who knows what the heck I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And basically, also, this is kind of when we get that he is still, like, he's pen pals with Angelica. Mm-hmm. And we get, like, some, like, they're a bit too intimate kind of things.
Yes, for brother and sister-in-law.
Yeah, this is a little worrisome. You're like, are they about to have an affair? No, they're not.
Nope.
Not them.
Nope, she cares for her sister.
Yep, no, she cares way too much for her sister to let that happen. But Angelica does come into town. They're all going up to basically their father's house for the summer. And Eliza's like, come with us. This will be great. It'll be important for you to take your head off, like, out of this. Like, you're just driving yourself crazy. And he's like, I am not going. Do you not understand the importance of what I am doing? I can't afford to take 3 months off. It does also tie in this, one of my favorite lines in the show. It's like, or it's like, oh God, what is it? Like, and Angelica tell him, like, John Adams spends the summer with his family. Angelica, tell my wife John Adams doesn't have a real job anyway.
Poor John Adams. Like, oh God, he just gets the tail end of the stick.
Never meet John Adams in the show, but he's just crapped all over anytime anyone talks about it.
Got eaten alive.
Yep. But basically he's like, no, I'm not going. I don't care. I'm staying here. And they're like, okay, probably won't regret that decision for the rest of your life. Bye. And then we get the part nobody likes. We're just going to move past this whole story arc. So yeah, Mariah Reynolds, a woman real down on her luck, comes to Hamilton while he's working. And she's like, yo, my husband's a terrible person. I've been kicked out of my house. I have no money. Help me. And he's like, yeah, I'll give you some money. She's like, also have sex with me. He's like, deal. And you're like, no, you dummy. And yeah, so he starts an affair with her, and it is a consistent affair. It's not a one-off thing. Her husband then writes him a letter being like, hey, I know what you're up to with my lady. I'm totally cool with it as long as you pay me or I'll tell your wife. At which point you go, was this all a trap?
Did he just get played?
And he thinks that too. And he's like, you did this on purpose. She's like, I don't know what you're talking about. And I'm like, I don't care either way, to be honest. You're still a dumb, bad person.
Yeah.
But yeah, and so she's like, look, if you just pay him, we can stay together.
He's like, I don't want you anymore.
I don't want you. Then he's like, but I need to pay this man. Or I'm doomed, so I might as well just keep having sex with you, I guess. I'm paying for you anyway. And you're like, this is so messed up.
Oh.
And it's basically what it was, though.
Yeah.
And here's like, oh, Hamilton.
I'm paying for the service, might as well use it.
Yeah. Poor life choices. Maybe I should take that advice when it comes to Final Fantasy 14. Yeah. So that's, a poor decision.
To say the least.
But while he stayed in town, he did get work done, other than just the work he did on her. So, he finally is willing to make a compromise. He finally listened to Burr's advice.
Talk less, smile more.
Smile more. And so, essentially, this meeting really did happen to where it's he and Madison and Jefferson go into a room, and they walk out with a deal. One of the most important deals in U.S. history.
Yeah.
And so, essentially, Hamilton walks out with unprecedented power to make the banks completely centralized. He's promised the votes to get it done. In return, he gives the Southerners basically the capital. You can make Washington, D.C. right on the Potomac. You got it. And they're like, we won so big! And Hamilton's like, you're so dumb, who cares where the freaking capital is?
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
But yeah, this song is one of also the most beloved songs in the show, The Room Where It Happens. This is the huge turning point for Burr. Mm-hmm. Because Burr kind of sees that, like, all this power is happening behind closed doors. Mm-hmm. I want to be in the room where it happens. And this immediately sparks a big change in him because he runs for the Senate against Philip Schuyler, Hamilton's father-in-law, and wins.
Yeah.
Partially explained by Burr because it's not that, like, he's like,
he changed parties to...
Yeah, he changed parties to run against
him.
He changed parties to seize the opportunity he saw.
Yeah.
Yes, what a man of character.
Oh, that Aaron Burr. But yeah, he's like, nobody knows who you are. He's like, it doesn't matter. They don't like you. He's like, I didn't win based on my merits. I won because no one likes you. And I was obviously the other choice. Like, your father-in-law is like super tied to you. So they're like, yeah, no, screw that guy.
What,
so like,
funnily enough, in actual history, once Burr leaves the seat, Philip takes it back.
Yeah.
Yep. But yeah, so he is now Senator Burr of New York.
Yes, you notice when he's addressed by when Hamilton addresses him as Senator Burr, he does not say sir.
No, he does not.
Does not.
He no longer says Burr or sir.
He no longer says Burr, sir.
There you go.
Who's the Burr, sir? Yes. But yeah, so that leads directly into our next cabinet battle, which Burr is now able to sit in on. Even though he's not a member of the cabinet, doesn't matter. He's sitting in his chair. He's sitting in a chair. This one is literally just, it's not like trying to get a bill passed through Congress. It's them just debating the merits of whether or not they should support the French in their war against England.
Yes. Because it is now after the French Revolution, there is no monarchy.
Yes.
Famously, King Louis XIV's head is in a basket. Who is the king they made a deal with to back if they needed help. But now it's just a bunch of...
It's a bunch of chaos.
Yeah.
And yeah, so Jefferson is basically like, look, when we needed help, France was there. We never would have survived without their help. And we made them a promise and we owe them to go help them. And Hamilton's like, look, I get it, But let's be honest, everything you said. Jason, so it's like, look, nobody knows who's in charge. We made a promise to a dead king. Like, we are still trying to figure out our own selves. Like, we are too young and too weak to really make this opportunity like work. Like, we can't afford to do this now.
Yeah, and they were the ones that were like, no debt. Now they're like, we can't afford this. It's your own words, man.
Yeah. But yeah, and so Washington's like, he's right. We really can't. And he's like, look, what is it? Like, the people are leading, the people are rioting. There's a difference. Frankly, it's a little disquieting. But I know this whole damn show. But, but yeah, he's just like, no, we can't. And so Jefferson hits like, did you forget Lafayette? Have you an ounce of regret? And he's like, look, Lafayette's smart. He's going to survive this. He's fine. And also, hey, he was my friend before he was yours. So, like, let's not play that game, man. But he's like, you know, if we try to fight in every revolution, when will we draw the line? But yeah, which is when Jefferson's like, look, the only reason this is working is because Washington's behind you. Like, without him there behind you, you're done. And he gets like the daddy's calling line, which is always just like, oh
yeah.
It must be nice to have Washington on your side.
Yeah, which I do love this moment, because this did not happen when I saw the show, and obviously it's not something that really plays when you watch the soundtrack. When Burr walks up, it's like, it must be nice, it must be nice. Which I was like, where the heck did you come from? But yeah, so it's, you know, it must be nice to have Washington on your side. And so Burr and Jefferson and Madison basically are like, this kid is a problem. Like, we need to do something about Hamilton.
We need to do something about Hamilton.
Yeah, we need to solve this problem now and take him out. Not literally, they don't actually want to kill him, but they need
put a bomb in his car.
You just
thing, right?
Car?
Bomb? Well, I guess they have bombs. But...
There are bombs. There's not cars. You picked the wrong problem.
The wrong anachronism.
His? What's his? Yeah, so they have this conversation like, we need to find something. He has to have done something wrong. We're going to look. And it's also when Jefferson kind of makes the realization, like, look, I'm the cabinet. I'm complicit to everything he's doing. Another line with a whole lot of words going very quickly that I'm sure Cheyenne had a hard time following.
Yeah. Yep.
I'm the cabinet. I'm complicit in watching him grabbing in power. And this is... He was like, whoa. But yeah, he's basically like, I'm done. I'm out. You can't, like, you know, when there's a fire you're trying to douse, you can't put it out from inside the house. He's like, I have to quit and resign. What?
I quit so.
Yeah. Yeah, he resigns from the cabinet. He's like, we're going to handle this. You guys dig up information on Hamilton. Like, someone load the gun and cock it. Like, I'll fire it. Just somebody give me, you know, the information I need. And they're like, okay. Which jumps over to another one of my favorite songs, One Last Time. So Washington basically pulls Hamilton in his office. He's like, look, hey, there's stuff you need to know. Some important stuff you need to deal with. So Jefferson resigned.
He's like,
Hamilton's like, what? This is great news. And he's like, sir, this is perfect. Now we can write about all the stuff you hate about him. And Washington's like, calm down. Like, he's like, also though, when he walked in, I forgot another one of my favorite lines in the show. He's like, I want to talk to you. I don't know what we're talking about, but whatever it was, Jefferson started it. You were such a child. But yeah, so he's like, he's stepping down so he can run for president. Good luck defeating you, sir. I'm stepping down. I'm not running for president. I'm sorry, what? Sorry, what? One last time. So basically, this is Washington saying, like, look, I've served 2 terms. I'm done. And Hamilton's like, you can't quit. Are you crazy? Like, with everything going on, like this, you're going to seem weak. Yeah, like all of this is a terrible idea. This is a bad idea. The people still want you to lead. And Washington's like, no. Like, this is important. this is incredibly important that I step away now when it's my choice. I can teach them how to say goodbye. I can teach the country how to move on and grow past me because it needs to. And yeah, and he just wants to quit. The poor guy has just been fighting and fighting and fighting. And he just wants to retire on Mount Vernon with his slaves and his wife.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and he's like, I'm done. And he does eventually convince Hamilton to like help him write his like, you know, his final address to the American people.
Yeah.
And I love how they just straight use it.
Yeah, they do. They just word for word.
And it's incredibly powerful. But yeah, and then you just get Christopher Jackson just going out there, just belting his heart out right at the end of that. And yeah, it's an incredibly powerful number. It's an incredibly powerful moment.
Yeah, he starts crying.
He is
I'm wondering
crying.
if that was
Yep.
like...
Yeah, I mean, it's his grand goodbye, but yeah, it's an incredibly powerful moment. Yeah, I'm like, when he's crying up there, when he's holding his pose at the end, I'm like, I feel you, man. Goodbye. Which then transitions directly into our last King George number, I Know Him, where he's like, wait a second, Washington's quitting? Nobody told me you could do that.
Why did anyone?
That's a bold move.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wasn't aware that was something a person could do. But he's like, but wait, who else is going to lead there? No one in that country has like half the like strength of character as Washington. And then like, John Adams? What's like, I know him. That can't be. That's a little guy who talked to me.
Yeah.
This is like, that poor man, they're going to eat him alive. Yeah. So basically, we get that news straight from him where he's just like, oh, these guys are doomed. This is going to be awesome. I can't wait to watch this mess go down.
Pulls up a seat.
And he takes
Pulls up a seat.
to watch the next number. But yeah, it kind of goes exactly how you think. John Adams did a lot of important things as president, but he's not a good president. But in particular, he and Hamilton hated each other. Despite the fact that they were both Federalists and arguably the two most important members of the Federalist Party, they despise each other. And so as soon as Adams is made president, he fires Hamilton. Mm-hmm. And Hamilton's like, oh, it's on. Because Adams said bad things about Hamilton in private.
Yeah.
And so Hamilton's like, I'm going to publish just a manifesto about why you're the worst. Sit down, John, you fat mother. Beep. But yeah, it does not go well. It basically fractures the Federalist Party, which was already weakened to begin with. A lot of people are celebrating. Jefferson's like, hey, calm down. Everyone's like, look, he just destroyed his own party. Adams looks weak. Everything's good. Like Hamilton no longer has a place of power. Jefferson's like, as long as that guy has a pen in his hand, he's a threat. Like, you need to calm down. Luckily, we have the dirt. Mm-hmm. Let's go tell him what we know. Leading into, we know. So yeah, that trio, they confront Hamilton and they're like, hey, just want to know. Just want you to know that we are aware of all of your misdeeds. We have been tracking all of these check stubs, and we know that you have been embezzling from the government. You're a criminal. You're going to jail. We're taking you down. And Hamilton's like, what do you have? You got nothing. And he's like, look, I didn't do any crime. He's like, but this will be a problem. If I show you what's going on, do you promise you're going to keep your mouth shut? And they're like, sure. And so he pulls out the letter from James Reynolds. I do love this one. Yeah, the blackmail letter. And it's like, that was my wife. You decided to. What? Yeah. Like, I'm sorry. What is going on? And so they all find out that he has been blackmailed. And all of the money. He's like, I have all of the receipts. I have proof that all of the money I've been spending is my money. I haven't stolen a cent from this government. I have done a bad thing, but I have broken no laws. And so they're like, oh, my God. He's like, so you're not going to say anything, right? And they're like, no. But Burr seems a little more trepidatious with that promise.
Yeah.
And he's like, hey, we both know what we know, and rumors only grow. So Hamilton's like, oh, this is going to be bad. This rumor might get out and it might tarnish my name a little bit, even though there will be no substantiated proof. What am I to do? I know. I'll destroy my life. Okay. So we get to Hurricane, which is a great song. I really love the choreography and the lighting and all that for this number.
Yeah, that's cool.
But basically Hamilton's like, look, my legacy is about to be completely destroyed by these slanderous rumors. I need to get ahead of this problem. How have I solved every problem in my life? My pen. I wrote my way out. I have solved every problem through just confronting it with my words. So I'm going to write the Reynolds pamphlet, and I'm just going to tell the whole world exactly what I did, and I'm going to publish it, and I'm going to give it to frickin' everybody. And so he's like, hey guys, I was accused of embezzlement. I did not do that. I just had extramarital affairs, many of which in my own bed. My wife had no idea. But I did not steal any money. And yeah, this goes over great. So yeah, he kind of destroys his entire life. Everyone is celebrating because he's never going to be president now. Like, he's done.
He never
this
is
has
president.
destroyed. No, he's not. And many people do point to this moment as why he never stood a chance at becoming one. But yeah, it destroys his life. And yeah, Eliza, not happy.
Nope.
Let's just say. We do get Burn, which is a phenomenal song, where she just is basically like, I am looking back through these letters that you wrote me, trying to find any proof that you meant what you said, that you actually loved me, you gave a crap. She's like, I'm done with you. I'm burning these letters. You are done. Like, you can sleep in your office. We're done. We're over. Obviously, divorce not an option, but if it were...
Yes, you still live with me, but you will not be with me.
No. And God, the last line of that song, just, I hope that you burn. You're just like, that is something your wife is saying to you. You have made bad life choices. But yeah, that's just a powerful song. And so we immediately jump to something happier for about 10 seconds. Blow us all away. A nice, fun, upbeat number about Philip now that he's 19. He's graduated King's College. He's doing great. He's like, I'm just like my dad. I'm so awesome. Everything's great. I'm great with the ladies. Also, some guy said, Philip Eaker said something really bad about my dad and what a jerk he is. So I'm going to go into the theater where he's watching a play to confront him. And basically challenge him to a duel. Okay, so he goes to his dad. He's like, Dad, I have no idea what I'm doing. I'm in over my head. I don't know how to duel. Like, what the heck is this? And Hamilton's like, Philip, calm down. We're good. Here are my guns. Just, you tried to have it happen. He's like, look, he's not taking his words back. He's like, okay, here's what you're going to do. At the count of 10, you're going to aim your pistol at the sky. You're going to fire. If he's a man of honor, he'll do the same thing. That'll settle it all. You both will have, like, you know, your show, and things will be fine. And we're like, cool, this is going to go terribly.
Yep. It's like, that's not what's going to happen.
But obviously, also, it's happening in New Jersey because everything is legal. New Jersey. A line that I've definitely heard in other places since the show has come out. But yeah, so he goes to Jersey, and he does exactly what his dad says. And he readies to aim the pistol, and Eaker doesn't even wait till the count of 10 before he shoots Philip. Shoots him at 7. What a bro! Did you not notice that?
No.
Yeah, he shoots him at 7.
Wow.
Yeah, I know. Like, and his pistol's already at the sky. Like, he apparently, like, historically speaking, he really did immediately at 2, he put his gun up in the sky. Eaker turns around before the count is even done and shoots him dead. Yeah, what a champ. So definitely a bad person. Wish he would have been shot dead in this duel.
Yeah, I mean, if everything's legal in New Jersey, wouldn't the rules of a duel need to be followed, and their seconds would see what happened and be like, hey,
everything is legal in New Jersey is not literal. You're less likely to get arrested for dueling in New Jersey.
Yeah, I guess.
But you will still get arrested for murder. But yeah, Philip is shot. I think it enters like through his hip, goes through his body into his arm. Like, it's a brutal wound. It's already infected by the time he gets to a doctor. Hamilton and Eliza go there. Fun fact, the reason Eliza is already in like a dark mourning dress is represented by the fact that in universe, even though it's not entirely true, she was basically coming from Peggy's funeral, because Peggy dies the same year that Philip does historically.
Oh.
You say in universe?
In universe.
Well, because it's to symbolize like that it's from one funeral to like the death of her son, even though they were months apart. But you know, in this dramatized retelling,
yes.
But yeah, so yeah, you have this brutal moment where Philip is just dying on the table. This is where the waterworks start. But yeah, he just dies on this table, and Eliza just lets out just the most primal scream. I'm just like, oh. And so they lose their son.
No.
First, her husband cheats on her and like ruins their lives. Then her son is killed in a duel.
Don't forget,
it's going
her sister
great.
died.
Her sister did just die. Life is going great for the Hamiltons.
Yeah, this is the point where I did manage to hold back my tears at this, but it was like jerking.
Jerking?
Yeah, my tears. Yep.
You could see it on his face.
It's quiet uptown. Starts up where basically the Hamiltons move uptown, and they're just trying to cope with this new impossible situation, living with the unimaginable, having lost a child. And it's rough.
Yeah, that's where I cried.
I cried through both of these numbers. And you just watch as he's a broken shell of himself. But the one positive thing that comes out of it is that through all this pain and stuff, like Eliza is able to start forgiving him. And just like as soon as she reaches his hand and just you watch Hamilton break down, you're like, oh God. But yeah. And so like that's the good news that comes of it. But yeah, we've gone through a lot of drama and a lot of sadness, which is why the next 2 lines very much hit for me, and in a way that I don't think anybody has ever believed in more. Where it's like, can we get back to politics, please? Like, can we get back to politics, please?
And you see Madison in the back, like dabbing his eyes.
He's dabbing his eyes, like, please.
Yeah.
And you're just like, you have the thought. You're like, you're right. I have never wished more that a show would go back to talking about politics because it's less depressing than this. Yeah, so I mean, Hamilton is basically out of the public's eye. Life has moved on without him. The country is running on its own. Mm-hmm. And John Adams is just falling apart. There's no way he's going to be able to run for president again. And so Jefferson is running again, and he's feeling pretty confident, except for a young upstart Aaron Burr, who's running against him. And yeah, we have the election of 1800. Mm-hmm. And essentially, it's pretty divided. People don't know who to pick. Basically, people know what Jefferson stands for, but he's a very extreme figure. He's very love him or hate him. And Burr is just this kind of unknown. He does seem like a less extreme version of him, but he's a giant question.
And then everyone's like, no one knows what he stands for.
Yeah. But, but he's like, and then we have like that classic thing where it's like, this is Aaron Burr. It's like, I think I could have a beer with him. He's like, yes, nailing this. But yeah, like his whole thing is just kind of seem like, oh, he seems like a cool bro. Let's vote him president. It's kind of working, but he's openly campaigning, which is something he says, and like, hey, Hamilton, I learned that from you. But it kind of goes, and Madison's like, look, this is close to Jefferson. He's like, your best bet is to get an endorsement. He's like, from who? He's like, don't laugh. Hamilton. It was just like, are you kidding me? Absolutely not. But yeah, so it does kind of turn to where like most of the Federalist leaning members of society were like, Hamilton, what do you think, man? Like, it's a lose-lose situation, but which is the lesser evil? What do you think? And so, yeah, like really the last big political action Hamilton takes, he's like, Jefferson. Because as he says, he's like, look, Jefferson and I have literally never agreed about anything. We've been enemies forever. But he believes in what he's saying. Jefferson has beliefs. Burr has none. Which is very close historically to what he wrote.
Dang.
It was scathing. He's like, you don't know what the hell Burr wants. You can't trust him.
Mm-hmm.
And which Burr is like, are you kidding me? It's like he helps Jefferson, his enemy, win the presidency just so I don't win. Which is kind of true.
Yeah.
And he does not take it well, let's say.
They have some correspondence.
Yeah, they exchange some nice little letters. Your obedient servant.
A. Burr.
A.ham. But yeah, and he's like, Hamilton, take back what you said. I can't believe you did this. Oh, but we did skip that little line with Jefferson, where he's like, oh yeah, like right before this starts happening, where he walks up, is like, Burr walks up to Jefferson, and is like, I'm looking forward to our partnership. He's like, our partnership? He's like, as your vice president.
Yeah.
And that's like, it is pretty silly that the runner up is vice president. And Jefferson's like, we could change that. You know why? Because I'm the president. And he just stares right at Burr. You're like, burn, man.
Yeah, he's only his vice president for the first term.
Yeah. He's like, by the way, if you see Hamilton, thank him for me for the endorsement.
Oh, man.
He's like, oh, man. So, yeah, the exchange does not go well. Basically, I think this is stolen from a confrontation he had with someone else, where basically Hamilton is like, look, I don't know what complaint you're having. Like, we've had many disagreements in the past. Here's an itemized list of everything we've disagreed on. Please select which one I've done wrong.
So
Which I don't think he did that. I don't think he did that to Burr, but he definitely did that historically to somebody else.
Oh my god.
So like, well, I gotta get this in the musical.
Jeez.
Here's an itemized list of 35 years of disagreements. Sweet Jesus. But yeah, I do love when that letter is getting sent over to him. It's like carried by multiple members of the ensemble, including like the boom, boom. You're just like, yeah, I feel that. But yeah, so Burr's just like, you know what? I'm done. Screw you. Weehawken, Dawn, guns drawn. Let's do this. I'm dueling you. And he's like, okay, you got it. So yeah, and so he has this nice little exchange with Eliza, the best of wives and best of women. I'm not going to tell you that I'm about to go do something incredibly stupid.
Yeah, I have a business meeting at dawn.
Yeah, I have a business meeting in the morning. Bye-bye. Yeah. And so, yeah. He goes to Weehawken, as we learn, really close to where Philip dueled and died. But we do have, like, this, basically... I do find it interesting that this is narrated by Burr, too, leading up to this. But yeah, it's basically breaking down, like, 10 things you need to know about what is going on. And it's just, like, breaking down the facts. Like, why would Hamilton be wearing his glasses if he doesn't want to kill me? By the way, if you ask any of my soldiers, I'm actually a terrible shot with a gun. Like, this is not looking good. But I will not make an orphan of my daughter. Yeah, fun fact, Theodosia's dead. But we move on from that. Well, that's what that line means. Like,
yeah.
Theodosia did die.
Yeah, that makes sense.
She died in childbirth with one of their other kids, I think.
Oh.
But yeah. Yeah. So... 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Count them 10 paces fire. But I imagine death so much it feels more like a memory. And we have this amazingly powerful moment where like the bullet's been fired, and just in this moment before he dies is Hamilton just reflecting on his life. It's just bringing together a lot of themes and a lot of elements from a bunch of different songs in a very scatterbrained, like life flashing before your eyes sort of way. It does have a moment of kind of unintentional humor, at least to me, where he's talking about all the people that he sees on the other side. And he's like, Lawrence leads a chorus on the other side. I see my son on the other side. And up on the top, you see.
Oh.
Rambo's going like, oh. And then he does a flip around. He's like, ah. I was like, the moment may not land.
He's the same. He plays both
He's playing
characters.
the same actor. And so he just does a little flip to become the other character. And I was like, we didn't probably need that moment.
That's funny.
Oh, but we did.
But we did. Washington is watching from the other side. And then, eyes up, Eliza. My love, take your time. I'll see you on the other side.
She takes her time.
She does. Hey, she followed his advice.
She had
And he
work
aims his
to
pistol.
do.
Yeah, she did. He aims the pistol at the sky. And Burr shoots him.
Poetic.
Yep.
It's like, hey, Hamilton, it didn't work for your son.
Yeah.
Now, to be fair,
It didn't work for you either.
Hamilton clearly did not want to take Burr's life, and I do believe he legitimately didn't think Burr would kill him. Because as much as they disagreed and as much as he did that, they had known each other for years. And so he's like, hey, you know, his first friend, his enemy. And yeah, it's just like, shot, killed. Burr's like, oh God, I just did that.
See, maybe because Burr said he's a terrible shot. Maybe he was trying not to aim for somewhere he would die, like where he would kill Hamilton, and he accidentally aimed.
Got right in the ribs. Right
Yeah.
between the ribs.
Maybe
Yeah.
he missed where he wanted to hit.
I want to shoot him in the, like, just graze his side.
Yeah.
That was right between the ribs.
Shoot him in the leg.
Oops. I am a terrible shot.
It's like
Maybe
the
I
one
should've shot.
time I'm a good shot.
Knowing his luck, he would have aimed up, the bullet would have gone, fallen right onto Hamilton's head.
Like,
You can't blame me for this one!
look him in the eye. Look him in the eyes. Aim no higher.
Yep. Yeah. So the world was wide enough. Basically, Burr going, he's like, they row him across the Hudson. I go get a drink. I hear wailing in the streets. Say, Angelica and Eliza were at his side when he died. Now I'm the villain of your history.
Yeah.
It's like, yep, you are. You did this. He's like, I was too young and blind to see the world was wide enough for both Hamilton and me. Yeah, he goofed real bad.
Yeah, real bad.
So yeah. And we cut into... You sound like you want to say something.
Well, I was gonna say, like, that makes me think of, like, how different would history be if Burr didn't shoot Hamilton?
It would have been very different.
It's always like those situations where it's like someone dies a little prematurely, and it's like, what would happen if they lived a longer life?
There is a decent chance that Hamilton wouldn't have had many political aspirations anymore. Like, he really did put a lot of that life behind him after what happened to Philip.
Yeah, but then would we have gotten the things that Eliza did in his memory?
Probably.
It's a good
not.
point. It's hard to say.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he dies, and we kind of get this nice little epilogue where it kind of pans to all of these characters reflecting on his legacy. I do like Jefferson. He's like, you know, you couldn't dismantle the banking systems he made, even if you tried. I'd know. I tried.
He did.
Yep, he certainly did, and he failed. And Madison kind of reflects, is like, I don't think he, like, what he did with that bank, like, it really did create, like, the superpower that America ended up becoming because of, like, you know, financially. You know, I don't think he gets enough credit for all the credit he gave us. You're like, oh, that's a clever line. But yeah, the real legacy, the person who told his story. It's Eliza. She puts herself back in the narrative and does a whole lot of things with like the 50 years of her life left.
Literal 50 more years that she lives. She lives till 97.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
what?
In that period of time.
And then all her kids
live really long too.
Really long.
Except
lives.
for Philip.
Oh, yeah, except for Philip.
The first, because then they named another son after him.
Yeah. Philip the second.
Their eighth child.
Second generation. Yeah. Yeah, so God, she does so freaking much. But yeah, she basically dedicates her life to kind of proving his legacy to the world and also doing a whole lot of good. She raised funds for the Washington Monument. She speaks out against slavery. And she establishes the first private orphanage in New York City. Mm-hmm. She also establishes the Hamilton Free School, which was a school in New York that was entirely free and paid for because she believes that everyone has the right to education, including people that normally don't have the means to do it. Like, this woman dedicated her life to making the world a better place.
I'm so sad. I didn't know who she was before this.
And she's like, will they tell my story?
I know. That I was like, really. Dang. Now I feel bad.
Well, that's kind of what we're about to get to. So, yeah. Also, if you do note, there's a very small, easy to miss moment, but she's like, I raised funds for the Washington Monument, but like she told my story. You see like Christopher Jackson in the background, Washington behind her. And she's like, I speak out against slavery. And there's a moment where he kind of bows. That's actually a moment that Christopher Jackson put in himself because he felt super conflicted playing Washington since Washington was a slave owner. And so that's like a little moment he gave to himself because he's like, hey, somebody cared. But yeah. And, she lived a long time. Angelica helped her, but she kind of did dedicate her life to making the world a better place and also trying to tell everyone how important Alexander's legacy was and everything that he did. And honestly, you can argue for the longest time she did kind of fail in that regard because most people had no idea who the heck he was until a couple years ago. But to the point where I remember I saw the show with some people for the first time and they're like, wait, when is he becoming president? I'm like, he never becomes president. They're like, oh, what? Jeez. Because that's just how little people knew this man's story, even though no matter how important he was. But there, eventually Hamilton does show up to her and stuff and he kind of guides her forward and she just have that that gasping moment towards the crowd and then let's go out and the show is over. 2 fun facts. One, you notice that everyone lined up for the curtain call is all in white or beige, very neutral colors, except for Burr, Hamilton, and Eliza, who lives, who dies, who tells your story. Fun little thing right there. But also a commonly accepted fan theory because people were asking for the longest time what her gasp is at the end there.
Yeah.
There are 2 prevailing theories. One of which is just that's her last gasp, that's her dying and moving on. But the other accepted, widely believed theory, partially just because it's such a great little thing that people are like, I want to believe that's what this is that Hamilton isn't the person who comes on stage to guide her forward. It's Lin-Manuel. And he's taking her forward to see the audience. And her gasp is her breaking the fourth wall, seeing that all of these people have gathered to hear hers and Hamilton's story. And that's why it's this surprised, gasping, barely holding back tears moment for her. I like that. And that's how the show ends. That's where a lot of people hold on to this theory because I love that. And so it's showing that he finally helped her actually tell her story and everything that she did was worth it. Because to be fair, most historians and people who have written biographies about Hamilton, almost all of their information is provided by the letters and stuff that Eliza did circulate and bring out there. She is a key firsthand source for almost all factual information about Hamilton.
That's crazy.
And so because of her work, without her work, this never would have been able to happen. And so, yeah, so it's a nice little fun moment that a lot of people like to believe with that final gasp being that's her kind of realizing that it wasn't all for nothing.
Yeah.
It's too bad that's not what it is.
Is it not?
No, because I saw these theories. Lin-Manuel Miranda himself said that he's not playing himself. He's like, that's nice, but no, I'm not playing myself.
I read up about this multiple times. I never saw him actually. All I saw was him saying like he isn't confirming one way or the other.
It was like a tweet way later.
I wasn't looking on Twitter.
He's like, it's a lovely notion, but it breaks down the moment. I'm not playing the role. The gasp is the gasp. The gasp is the gasp. I love all the interpretations.
The gasp is the he doesn't want to explain it.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's still being vague about what it is.
He's not explaining it, but he's disproving the best theory.
Why would you disprove that? Just let that be one of those things where like, yes, I am that smart.
Yes. That is what
That's what my intention all along.
There was like an interview about him talking to the following actresses who play Eliza, and they all have their own interpretations of what the gasp is.
So I'm going to believe a lot of them are of the opinion that it's them looking at the audience, breaking the fourth wall and going, oh, this is so beautiful.
Yes. Well,
because I don't care.
Yeah. But yeah,
once you let something out into the wild, it belongs to the audience now, bastard.
The original actress believes it's that theory. That's what she believes.
Philippa Sue? Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
So that's all that matters.
In her moment, it feels like that.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel like a last gasp. It feels like a shocked gasp.
Yeah. Hey, that's all that matters. She's the original. She's the one we saw in Disney Plus.
Yep. All right. So Chase, what were we saying?
Oh, no, I was saying that this show is surprisingly well for the subject matter, or like it goes surprisingly well. It's great interpretation and like display of the telling of the story of Alexander Hamilton.
Yeah, there are definitely some historical inaccuracies, things they change around and stuff. That's not surprising. But the overall gist is pretty accurate. Some people are frustrated. They think they aren't hard enough on Hamilton in this. Some people don't like how much they do humanize Burr.
Yeah, because he's the villain now.
Yeah, but
I like
there are problems. I do too, but I mean, to be fair, like Burr is actually historically a very complex figure. Like he's kind of a hypocrite in a lot of ways, in both good and bad ways. Like he owned slaves and was an abolitionist. Like he was both of those things at the same time. You're like, what? He like did a lot of shady things, but like he also 100% believed that his daughter should have the greatest education possible, and he believed in like women's rights, and he like to white women's rights a lot. Like he believed that like some black people should be free, and he believed that women should be thing, but he never combined those two feelings to anything.
No.
But like, you know, he's a complex soul, but you know, like it's just he's a very complicated man, but he's also kind of a right bastard, and he did a lot of bad things in life, and he did not look good in the things that happened following these events either. But you know, I think the key here is you getting the gist of it and it telling a complex story to imagine people complexly, because these are bad. I mean, these are people who do both good and bad things.
Definitely.
And so, you know, it's just like, you know, that's kind of how it works. And now we're having a point where a lot of people want to cancel Hamilton too, because it's glorifying people that had slaves.
Well,
I'm like, that's not the way to do it, guys.
Yeah.
But yeah, so, but overall, this was Hamilton. It's a great experience. It's a great story. It's a great musical full of great performances, and a lot of people can see it for a thing they're already paying for. So
definitely 100% recommend.
Yeah, if you have Disney Plus,
set aside the time.
Yeah, if you have Disney Plus, watch it. If you don't have Disney Plus, considering doing one of those like quick trials and watching it and then canceling, you can kind of see this movie for free. And I don't think there's a reason not to. And if this does get released theatrically, I'm definitely going to watch it in a theater with a bunch of people.
Yeah.
Because I think that would be really fun. It wouldn't quite be the same as actually seeing it in a theater, but, you know, what can you do? But the show isn't going to be able to go back up on Broadway until at least January of next year anyway. So
Nah.
that's your best bet. God,
All right. Well,
what a mess 2020 is.
yeah, it's very bad. Let's wrap this up because I really have to go to the bathroom.
I'm super thirsty.
Well, thank you for joining us, guys. I would like to hear your thoughts on Hamilton as well. If you think that it is, great at the story it tells, do you think that it's a little
Overrated?
Well, yeah, overrated. Do you think it's like a little too? I don't want to say controversial because it's not highly controversial, but do you think it's controversial? Like in the portrayal of certain of those characters, like historical figures. If you think it overglorifies some people, I want to know like what people think. It's a very interesting topic and very interesting opinions. So let us know, and if you want us to talk about a specific movie, let us know that too, and then we can always set aside time to watch it, review it.
Yeah. Especially now, quarantine time, there's not a lot of movies.
Yeah. Which, most movies are available everywhere, so at least in some sort of source. So,
one would argue that all movies are available somewhere.
Yes. All right. Thank you.
This has been Cinema Explorers episode 2.
So we'll see you guys next week. Have a great week.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.